Welcome back, everybody. I'm Davin Chitwood with Kirkham Iron Tech. I'm here with our founder and CEO, Tom Kirkham. And recently, the NIST framework released some changes that they're going to be coming out with at the first of the year. And they're specifically adding an area that, Tom, I know you talk about frequently, and it's kind of funny that they've added it. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that area that they're going to be adding to that framework?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it because my crystal ball was absolutely functioning correctly several months ago when I was thinking about, everybody gets caught up. I mean, it's even a fault within our own company. It's technical controls, EDRs and SIMs and MFAs and all these other acronyms or whatever they're called. And what's so easy to miss is the policies and procedures that make those things work, that apply to the proper deployment, the proper management, the proper monitoring, response plans, all of these things that without them, none of these wonderful, fantastic, best-in-class tools work. And so as I thought more and more about it, policies and procedures, that phrase really didn't do it justice. It's a phrase that goes in and out of people's ears, right? And so what we began talking about, all of us did, especially me, because I'm more or less chief evangelist here at the company. And what it really is corporate governance. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I don't, an accounting practice, a law practice, engineering, manufacturing, you have corporate governance, even if it's two people, one person even. You've got procedures and policies that must be followed all through your company. And the same thing applies to proper IT management and really good enterprise grade security. And so what NIST has done, and I'm going to share my screen out, which we rarely do in these, but I think this is much more effective when we do it this way. So what NIST has done is they've taken, those of you that watch these videos, you know what NIST is. It's got 5 major parts to it. And the first one's identify. That's your risk assessment. Where are your vulnerabilities? Second one is, okay, let's fix those vulnerabilities, right? Put in new defensive tools and policies and procedures. Then you got to have a detection system, both automated and manual. That means a skilled security expert engaged with your company somehow, some way. Managed security services provider. The same way with the response. And then finally, you got a plan for worst case scenario, the recovery part, when things go wrong. And this also works for disaster recovery, business continuity, and major cyber attack recovery. Now, here's what NIST is going to release next year, version 2.0 of the NIST Cybersecurity framework. It's governance that applies to all 5 of these categories. It's the same thing I've been talking about for months. And honestly, it was public information, but I never followed it. It takes NIST a long time to make changes, and we live in the real world. I've got to stay on top of threat intelligence. I can't necessarily wait for NIST to say add this component, formalize this component. We need to work today. And that's when you're working with a company that does best in class. Sometimes they discover best in class policies and procedures, such as, for example, we did away with forcing password changes in company networks every 30 days. We found not only a more secure way to do it, a more secure way to secure the network, but it actually turned out to be less of a hassle. Forcing that password change every 30 days, more often than not, weakens your corporate security. But that governance, you've really got to think about, there's 3 controls: administrative controls, technical controls, and physical controls. Well, those other 2 controls, technical and physical, don't work without administrative controls. And, you have extra keys to your office. So you got 5 employees, you got 2 keys. Well, you've got an administrative control or whoever has one of the keys to the office. When's the door locked? What's your open and close hours? These are all administrative controls for protection and your general business operation and things like that. And you've got to think about these tools in that way. The tools, although you want best in class tools, what our clients are getting from us is this governance component. That's really what they're paying for. They're not paying for a tool, they're paying for a service. And that service includes these 5 parts of the NIST cybersecurity framework. If you only think in tools, you're only doing step 2.
Mhm.
Without the governance components, the other 5 do not work. And I'm happy that they're getting on board with it. And I'm happy that it's going to be official early next year, early 2024. And it's something that I think hasn't been properly articulated in this industry, in the last several years. And governance conjures up things, but it doesn't mean government. It's just governance, corporate governance.
Yes,
And your IT should be managed and proper governance applied to IT management and cybersecurity as well.
definitely. And this is going to be a big change for some companies. Some companies may already have a good governance state regarding security already in place, but they may have to adjust a few things. And so this governance piece, like we said, it does come implemented at the first of the year, but this is something that you need to take serious now and prepare for. And a lot of the times, governance is a part of the organization regarding IT and security that has been overlooked in the past. And so as we dig into this, or as if you're a business owner now and you look into the governance piece of your business and you start assessing, okay, what really do we have in place? It could go into an acceptable use policy. What's your remote work policy? All of these things fall into governance, and we'll probably do another video on governance.
Yeah, we could, Davin, we could do one of these just on why do I need an acceptable use policy?
Yes,
but
yeah.
that is such a perfect example of governance.
Yeah.
That and just briefly for those of you that don't know, it's your company policy around what's acceptable use of the company's investment in IT. Your desktops, laptops, accessing the network remotely or inside the office. All of these different acceptable things that's acceptable according to the way you run your company. And our clients range all over the world. Well, literally all over the world, but they range in a lot of different ways operationally. What one does, the other one may not do, even if they're both law firms, right? And so those are things that you create with your skilled InfoSec or cybersecurity specialist or IT specialist and your IT specialist. And those come into play on step number 2. And then 3, 4, and 5 is all about proactive, both IT, it's not on here because it's not part of the cybersecurity, but proactive IT management and cybersecurity operations, right? That's 3, 4, and 5 of the NIST cybersecurity framework. Governance covers everything, all the way from the risk assessment.
No, that's exactly right. I'm glad you mentioned risk assessment. As you see these 5 areas on the screen, and you're wondering, I really don't know what risk we have or where we're vulnerable at. And I can't remember the last time we've had an assessment of our IT or our security, if ever. We actually do offer a free assessment to review and evaluate your current IT and cybersecurity infrastructure. We'll go in and dig in to see exactly what you do have, reveal any potential vulnerabilities, and then, of course, go through those steps that you just saw of creating a plan to address those vulnerabilities, if there are any. And then, of course, we'll talk about governance as well. Talk about those policies you may have or may not. But if that's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out via phone call, email. We'll be happy to talk to you soon.
Yeah, you do have vulnerabilities. It's not if.
Right,
everyone has vulnerabilities. We have vulnerabilities. And I'll tell you what one is. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna tell you what one is, but you never get 100% secure. It's something I talk about a lot, and forgive me for being long-winded here, but our objective is to get you out of that 10% chance in any given year you're going to have a significant security event, we want to get that to 0.1, 0.01%. You know, if the NSA can be breached, anyone can be breached. And so expecting 100% perfection in cybersecurity is unrealistic. But we want to get it down to where you don't really have to worry. There's a risk reward ratio, right? Or a return on investment. And none of our clients put in everything we provide. Even we don't put in everything in our own systems for various reasons. And it's not necessarily because it has anything to do with we accept that risk. Sometimes it's an entirely different reason. But that's one of the things that you uncover in that first step, and it's just so super important, is doing a formal risk assessment or even a semi-formal risk assessment of some sort. Find out where you are and accept the fact that you've got vulnerabilities even before you begin this.
Exactly.
You do. And you will have them after you get all the way through all 5 steps.
That's exactly right. Well, if you have another topic that you'd like for us to talk on, or if you have questions, feel free to leave those in the comments or reach out, like I said before. And overall, we look forward to talking to you next week.